What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my review of The Last of Us Episode 2. So just before we go ahead, I'm going to let you all know this is going to be all spoilers, so don't watch this if you haven't seen it. What are you doing? Just get off! Get off, go watch it, and come back, because I'm going to talk pretty much all spoilers from now on, and for the future reviews that I do, I will be doing that, so just letting you all know, spoilers ahead. I absolutely love this show so far. It's just nailing everything for me. Like, I love the casting. The casting is just great. Loads of people keep going on online about how Bella Ramsey just doesn't look like Ellie. Yeah, I know she doesn't look like Ellie, and I agree with that, but like, she's so good as Ellie. To me, she's got the voice down to a T, she's got a personality right. If she feels like an Ellie, like she really does. The only thing is that she just doesn't have the same look, facial look as Ellie, and that was a little bit of a difficult thing for me to first get over. I was like, oh, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like that looks like Ellie, but I'm past that now. I love her as Ellie. I think she's doing a really, really good job. I'm really looking forward now to seeing her develop her relationship with Joel, and to see them sort of come together where she's not so much of like this little brat that's just always against Joel, which is coming. So I'm looking forward to that, because at the moment she's a bit of a bitch. She's a bit annoying. You're just like, oh, shut up. But that's Ellie in the first game. She's a bit like rebellious. She doesn't really want to be taken care of by Joel and stuff like that. So, I love the casting. Bella Ramsey, like I said, great. Pedro Pascal as Joel, again, in this episode, absolutely sick. I love him. I've just loved Pedro Pascal, and he's just doing such a good job as Joel. And I just can't wait to see more. I just can't wait to see how this story plays out. There's so much coming ahead that I'm just really looking forward to everything, because I know what's going to come. And but saying that, though, which I will get into in a moment, this episode does change some stuff, and I like them changes, but we'll get into them in a moment. The woman who plays Tess, I love her. I think she's one of my favourite characters so far, and obviously in this episode, I hope that you've seen it, by the way, and you're not just watching it anyway. But anyway, Tess in this episode is just so sick. I love the woman who plays her. I can't remember her name again. I need to remember this. But she's just done such an amazing job playing Tess. I really wanted her to survive longer, because I knew what was coming. I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to be this episode or not. But when you get to the end and you realise, they're in that sort of mansion place that's from the game, you know what's coming. But I just didn't want to see her die, because I wanted to see her just last longer. She just felt like a real person in this world. I feel like when I'm watching her, I believe she's really gone through shit. I believe that she's in this world. She's such an amazing actress, and the way that she looks like rough and beaten up, and she's just, you can tell that they're surviving. They'll do anything to survive, and I felt like that watching this woman play Tess. And obviously at the end of this episode, she unfortunately gets killed, but this time in a completely different way to the games. And yeah, I was surprised by that, but I genuinely really liked that decision to change it. I thought it was a really, really solid writing choice to make. I feel like they nailed it. Again, most shows or most things that I've seen that ever try and change specific stuff, especially when it's a big situation about a character, it never really works. And it's like, what have you done? Why have you done that? It never seems to work so well. This one really did. And if you think about it, in the games, that moment where Tess dies, there's like a big shootout, and you're like Joel on top of a balcony, and you're shooting all these different people and clickers and stuff like that. And in this one, they don't. And I was thinking about why they would change that. And I guess it's because you couldn't just have Joel just stood there behind a thing shooting everyone. I mean, you could, but like for a show to sort of just like keep the pace in and for things to happen, I love the fact that they made it that Tess still dies in the same place, but this time she actually ends up like blowing the whole place up. And I don't remember that happening in the game. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I even watched last night Tess's death in the game, and that doesn't happen. So yeah, I just thought it was a really, really good choice to be made. It was a bit strange when she was starting to kiss that clicker, but I thought it was a really, really cool scene. And yeah, I was just genuinely sad that she is now no longer in the show, because I thought she was a great Great actress, a great character, nailed it, and yeah, just sad to see her go. Another thing that I'm really enjoying at the moment is how the show is kind of starting off the episode so far with a bit of backstory to what's happened to the world before the outbreak, and we never got that in the game, and I find that so interesting because now we're going to probably see how the actual outbreak came about, and I don't remember that in the game either. I don't remember... I know there's like notes and shit you can pick up throughout the world and read them and stuff to give you a bit of more information about the world and the history and the past and stuff like that, but I don't remember ever seeing anything like this where it shows you like a build up to it. It's not in the game, so I really do appreciate that they're writing this in and just making us spend time in the past before the outbreak. I find it really interesting and it's quite tense, and the amazing thing about all this is that this whole fungus situation, how fungi can sort of get into you and reanimate your body and make you become like a zombie, is actually a real thing in the real world now. It's a real thing that happens, just not to humans. If you go on Google or go on YouTube, search it, you'll find tons on it. There's loads of documentaries and videos made on it. There is a real life fungus or fungi or whatever you want to call it, same thing. But they basically, when an insect dies, I'm pretty sure this is right, when an insect dies, or even actually if it's alive, I think the fungus can climb into them and infect the brain and basically kill them, and then it can reanimate their body and live on in the insect. So the insect will be dead, but it'll still be alive, going about the world doing shit. I don't know exactly what they do. I don't know if the insects eat and stuff, but the point is it really does do that in the real world. So it's such an interesting take on the story because could it happen? I don't know. I mean, obviously it hasn't ever happened. Maybe it couldn't, but it feels like a really grounded, realistic way to sort of create these zombies in this world because it actually does really happen. So I just think it's so good that they're sort of going more into that in this show and really showing you that. There's even moments where the zombies are dead and then you see like the fungus growing around the fingertips and going into the fingernails, like they're growing inside of them, and then they sort of bring them back to life, and then that's what makes them all the zombies. I just think it's so good, and it's well written, it's well thought about, it's adapting more onto the lore and the story that Last of Us has, and it's making things more fleshed out and detailed and in depth, and I just think it's great. In this episode, we get to see the clickers finally. I was really looking forward to this, and it was such a sick scene in the museum. It was just so good. Like, this show is just proper following the game so far. I have heard that they're going to start to, maybe in the third episode, do some big changes to the story. They're going to change some stuff up. But I also heard that that's the leaks of it. I don't know what the leaks are, but the leaks are supposed to be actually a really good change, and it's supposed to be quite exciting and positive. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And after the thing that happened with Tess and they changed all that, I'm confident that if they do make changes, that it's gonna be good. And also, this is the first time ever in a game adaptation or whatever where they've adapted something where they're changing stuff and I'm actually on board for it. Usually I'm a little bit like against the fence? I don't know. Against the wall? I don't know the right saying, but I'm usually against the whole idea of changing specific stuff. Like little things here and there, but like now as a viewer from a game fan, watching this and knowing there's things that are going to happen that I don't expect, that I think's going to happen, and it's different and it's working out well, I'm excited for like the future things to change. And yeah, I'm excited about this show. I think it's so good. But anyway, let's go back to the clickers. The clickers were sick. The makeup and the prosthetics and just the clickers looked and sounded perfect. And that's because they actually got back the original actors and voice actors of the clickers from the game. So I mean, why would you not do that? Another bonus point there for just doing that, because most people will probably just get some other actors in who could probably do just as good a job. But for me, I'd always get back like the same people who did that in the game, especially for something like the clickers where they don't need to look a specific way. You can just put makeup on them or prosthetics or whatever, because they're just perfect because they are them in the game. So the clickers were so good. It was tense. I loved the whole silence. I loved how they're so sensitive to sound. That made it way more intense and way more scary, because any sort of sound, I think when Ellie sort of closes her eyes and she opens her eyes and sees the clicker behind Joel and she sort of goes, just even that little noise just made them the clickers completely aware of where they were. And the clickers were brutal. Like, Joel was having a hard time killing them, and they were going at him, they were jumping over tables, like they nearly even got him at one point. Ellie got bit again. It was just like, yeah, I like this, and you can see there's going to be some really intense scenes when you start to see all the other beasts and monsters that are in this. So I can't wait. I think it's so good. The music, amazing. The cinematography is class. The direction is amazing. The environments, the set pieces is so good. And even like the shots of like being out on the street and looking at certain buildings that are exactly from the game. Like some of these are shot for shot. The buildings are exactly the same. All the foliage and all the grass and greenery that's been taken over the buildings looks exactly the same as The Last of Us. Like, it's so good. Like, it genuinely feels like this is a perfect adaptation of that game and put into a TV show for live action. It feels just like the game for me, and I couldn't be more happier about it. I'm just so looking forward to the rest of this season. I can't wait, and I really hope that they stay true to the story. I don't mind some changes here and there, as long as it just doesn't completely just go completely off the game, which I don't believe they're going to. It clearly looks like they're not going to just completely deter from the original storyline. I know from the trailers and everything that we've seen on the trailers, there's all the main characters are still coming in. There's loads of characters that we've still got to meet that have been showed in the trailers. So, you know, we're going to get some really, really interesting moments. And I'm loving watching it with my housemate because he's not played the games. So to him, it's all new. He recognizes some stuff, but he doesn't really know what's going on because he hasn't played the games. And he absolutely loves it as well. So it's a good dynamic to have myself, who's a massive fan of the games, played them multiple times, and then a friend who has never played any of them, who's not even a gamer, and he's like, this is sick, loves it. So, yeah, absolutely class so far. I can't wait for episode 3. So for me, if I was to give this episode a rating, I would give it another 9 out of 10. So that's it, guys. That's my review on episode 2. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please drop me a like. Let me know down in the comments what are you thinking about this show so far. Do you love it or do you not? Have you played the games? Have you not? I genuinely would love to know all your thoughts down below. And also, if you're new here and you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you want to stay updated with my content. That'd be amazing for me. And thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all on the next one.